Definitely another tutorial.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming the smoky eye that I did for my interview with Mac and talking about how I make my makeup last. I'm going to say my makeup because this is how I make my makeup last. I'm going to take the ABH brow gel. So as far as making sure your makeup lasts, there's like a lot of things that go into long-lasting makeup. For example, where you live, like the temperature you're going to be in, your personal preferences as far as like the kind of coverage you want, your skin type. And you have to consider those things because if you don't, then you'll wind up doing your makeup a certain way and there's a possibility that you can have creasing, excessive transfer, and stuff like that. I'm going to take the Ebony Brow Wiz to fill in my brows. So I'm filling in my brows from where the hair on my eyebrows starts. I'm being super light-handed and just doing little strokes. If you want to have natural looking brows, it doesn't really matter what shade you use. It's all about the pressure you apply and how much product you're using. This is the second to darkest shade in the ABH brow line. Even the darkest shade can look really fair and natural. Okay, so step one to making sure that your makeup lasts is having a good eyeshadow primer, okay? And the one that I use for so many years and would always rely on is the MAC Paint Pot. I heard that they're getting rid of this, so we'll see if the new ABH primer is better than this, but this is what it looks like. You can grab it while it's available. The reason why I like this primer for long wearing eyeshadow is because it sets itself. So I don't have to worry about the primer itself creasing later during the day. And I did pick up too much of it, to be honest with you, but it's okay. So I just fade it into my concealer. So I'm just gonna make them even on both sides, like, oh well. Because it was a MAC interview, obviously I decided to use MAC eyeshadows. So the first eyeshadow, and this, oh my god, look at how, this is so old. The first eyeshadow that I used is called EMBARK. This is a really nice purpley dark brown. What I did was, came out here, my outer corner, and took the EMBARK eyeshadow all the way in to my inner corner. Because with a smoky eye, the smoke is all the way around the eye, okay? And I'm tapping it in because I want the eyeshadow to settle onto the primer, you know, and not budge. If you go in with your first eyeshadow just blending, and depending on how good your eyeshadow primer is, it might actually fade throughout the day because you're just dusting it across the primer. But when you press it in, you're pressing it into the eyeshadow primer. Taking another blending brush, an Anastasia 826, I'm going to go into the shade Red Brick, tap it right on top of EMBARK. And of course, I'm basically doing the same thing. And just tap it out. And make sure you don't forget this outer corner out here. So once I've gotten that, what I like to do is just very gently blend it out. So easy. And if you want to, you can do more than, you know, these two colors. You can go ham, go crazy. And then I do, of course, grab a little bit more and come down here where EMBARK is. Because like I said earlier, I want them to transition. And if they're not transitioning, it's like, what's the point, you know? Okay, let me do my other eye. So for the next step in my smoky eye, I'm going to take DARKSIDE by ABH and put it on my eye and blend it out. I don't care where I'm using black eyeshadow. I don't care if it's in my inner corner, my outer corner, my whole eye. I always have to use a cream or eyeliner or something underneath before I do the black eyeliner. And the reason why is because black eyeshadow, no matter how black it is, it fades. It dusts away. It just doesn't adhere or stay on the same, especially when I've already layered on crazy colors and things like that. It always fades, or it's just not dark enough. So I like to use a base, And honestly, I think everyone should do this. I always do one eye at a time though, because usually whatever I'm using will set pretty quickly, because you also want to blend it out. So I'm going to take it down here. I'm going to line my lash line, and then I'm just going to quickly drag it all the way up as far as I need it to go. Which for a smoky eye doesn't have to be too far, honestly. You want to make sure the product you're using is really easy to apply and also pretty easy to blend out. So I'm just going to, even though I'm dragging down, I'm also bringing the product upward. And I like using dual fiber brushes for this part because the dual fiber brushes will blend it out much easier than other kind of brushes do, in my experience. And also they don't pick up the eyeshadow as you're blending the eyeliner out. And you want to make sure you don't have no harsh lines. That's the reason why I apply it so low on my lid, so that by the time I fade it out towards my crease, there's no harsh lines. No harsh lines. Now if this was high fashion, we wouldn't even go in with a black eyeshadow, because it's like we already got the black, that's it. And you can't have a smoky eye if you don't have smoke. So I'm gonna take my Soft Glam palette from ABH and the shade NIOR. This is my absolute favorite black eyeshadow, and you'll see why in a second. Look at that, so beautiful, so dark. But even this eyeshadow will fade throughout the day, you know, given that it has other eyeshadows layered underneath it. So this eyeliner or black primer you could use really just works as insurance to make sure that my eyeshadow looks good throughout the day and that the black doesn't wind up flying away or turning gray or something, you know. And then I'm tapping up into the crease. Not too far, but just enough. So, taking my brush that I was using with EMBARK, but I'm using 3 different brushes now because I want to be able to go back into each one and to add just the right amount of whatever I need off of that brush onto my eye. Because if you mix too many eyeshadows on one brush, what winds up happening is when you go back to use it, everything just blends together and there's no distinguishing between one or the other, you know? Like you can't tell that you have 3 eyeshadows on, it just looks like they all blurred together. And there's a difference between blurred and blended, okay? And that, my loves, is a smoky eye. So moving on to my complexion makeup. Knowing your skin and knowing your preferences helps you make the right decisions as far as foundation, primers, and things like that. Now, personally, in my opinion, wearing a primer can prolong the wear of your foundation. So combining the appropriate primer with the kind of makeup you want to wear, you know, will help. So for example, I've been using the Hydro Grip Primer. In fact, I actually used it for my interview. And you want to make sure that you apply it where you need it. I don't put it in my smile lines because those crease, etc., etc. So you really want to only put it where you need it to be. So like right up in here, obviously my forehead, especially since I use less product there. So yeah, using a primer that complements your goal is going to help. And also skin prep, as far as moisturize, make sure that it's clean and stuff like that. So you've already got your skincare, you've already got your primer, then get a foundation. And this is where preferences come into play, because sometimes people want their makeup to last, but they also want to be dewy and they also want to be this or that. And sometimes you got to sacrifice a little bit of that. For example, for me, I can't have long-lasting dewy foundation because I'm naturally oily no matter what primer I use. So I'm going to be wearing the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Foundation. 1, because it's what I wear to my interview, and 2, because it's low-key the only foundation I have that matches right now. I forgot about my smile lines. If you have smile lines like me, set them suckers. I always set my smile lines no matter what because I don't like seeing them crease. And they will crease. So if you have smile lines and you know, you're not down for that, set them. Pressing your foundation in with a brush is going to give you more coverage, and it's also because you're pressing it in, you're building a barrier on your face instead of sweeping it or using a sponge, which is going to obviously provide less coverage. Pressing it in gives you a bit of a barrier, which is going to make your foundation last longer. Moving on to concealer. Same thing with concealer. Make sure you're using something that's not going to contradict your ultimate goal with your makeup. I'm using the Fenty Beauty concealer in the shade 380, and I love this concealer, you guys. I love it. It's got a nice coverage. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. It blends out really nice. The applicator is nice. And I do like to use a brush for my concealer as well when I want full coverage, but I think that brush is dirty. So I'm gonna take my THRIVECAUSEMETICS Beauty Blending Sponge, and I'm just gonna press this in right underneath my eye. And I like to blend my concealer out. Like, I don't keep it just in the center of my face. I like to blend it out because I like for everything to mesh together. Setting powder is so important. So you want to make sure that you're using something that is going to hold on to it. And I have two setting powders. Well, I have three, but I only use two of them. The MERCIER Translucent and the SACHA Buttercup. Now, MERCIER is really, really nice because it's smoothing, it's finely milled, yada yada whoop-de-woo. But SACHA Buttercup is that girl. She is going to hold you down. She's going to keep you from looking crazy throughout the day and keep you from creasing, etc. So what I've been doing lately, I've been mixing them together. The reason why I've been mixing them together is because I like the way both of them look. I like what both of them do. And even though the SACHA Buttercup powder is really good for setting my face, I find that if I use it alone, the center of my face will have this like yellow tint to it, which I don't want. See that? Like, it's not yellow. And the MERCIER powder, for me, it creases. Like, it's so fine that if I use too much, it'll give me a cast, and then if I don't use enough of it, my whole face will be creasing in like a couple hours. But shout out to the people who can wear it, because like I wish I could just wear something super lightweight. Then again, I am a cake face, so. Okay, so since my foundation is darker than my body, this is a trick that I learned from Dizzle, a makeup artist on Instagram. I just take some powder and I put it on my jawline like that. And you might be wondering, like, okay, isn't that gonna leave like a harsh line or whatever? No, because I'm using my beauty blender to do it. And I'm also being careful not to make it to where there's just a line. Like, it's nice and fuzzy looking, it's not precise at all. I'm gonna take this powder brush and just sweep this away. Like so. And then using my favorite, my Lancome Dual Finish Foundation Powder in 530 Suede C, I'm just going to go ahead and start my bronze tour. And I'm just going to take my foundation brush to soften and pick up the extra powder. The next thing that I'm going to do is take my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Powder in the shade Dark. And I'm using the same exact brush because I don't see a reason not to. And I'm just going to come along right over here and soften everything up. Nice and pretty. I love this powder because it's lightweight, but it has a nice little tint to it, so it keeps my skin from looking ashy. Like, it gives me the warmth that I need back without being too heavy. Moving on to my eyes, the rest of my eye anyway. I'm gonna take Darkside again, and I'm gonna put it on my lower lash line. Of course, connecting it to the top of my eye. Coming all the way in And then I'm gonna blend it out. And then I'm gonna blend it out. And you can smudge this as low or as high as you want. I'm just trying to aim for it connecting to the upper part of my eye in general. This is the A3 from Anastasia Beverly Hills. And moving back into the NIOR eyeshadow, just gonna take a little bit of it and tap it right in. So I'm gonna take a clean blending brush and a little bit of red brick. And I'm going to connect the lower and upper part of my eye together. Giving the black eyeshadow something to fade into will help with it not looking crazy by the end of the day. Let me show you guys my lashes that I'm gonna wear, or that I did wear for this look. I wore the EYAWO lashes from ALLURE by AV, and I'm gonna put these on, put on my beauty mark, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the final step to your makeup lasting is setting spray. Personally, I like to use a makeup mist and then a setting spray because I wear a lot of makeup and I wear more than one powder, and obviously I want all of that to melt together. Setting sprays don't necessarily melt your makeup together. When you spray them on, they usually dry pretty quickly to set your makeup. So I like to use a makeup mist first, and the makeup mist that I'm going to use is from MAC. It's Fix Plus, and I forgot what was in this stuff, but basically it's not a setting spray. It's going to melt all my powders and foundation together and make sure that they look not dry, right? And I like to let that settle in. I don't really usually fan it unless I'm like in a rush, but I like to let that settle in really nicely. And I do spray pretty close to my face on purpose because I want it to be on my skin. I don't want it to mist. I want it to get into my foundation. Okay, so once my makeup mist has set into my skin pretty nicely, then I like to take my setting spray. So your setting spray is what's going to make your makeup stay on your face for as long as physically possible based off of the formulation you have compiled on your face. And the thing about setting sprays is they are made to do particular things. For example, this setting spray is a dewy setting spray. So it's going to set my makeup, but there's some things in here that are going to make sure that I still look nice and glowy and cute or whatever. There's also matte setting sprays, and then there are just setting sprays meant to make your makeup last, like the all-nighter setting sprays. I'm going to use this one because I like the way that it smells. It does a good job for me, and also it's the only one that I have, so yeah. I like to spray twice on the center of my face and once on either side because the center of my face needs the most love. And I find that actual setting sprays usually push out more product than makeup mists do. You can use pretty much anything as a makeup mist. You can use rose water toners, aloe, anything really, because all it is a hydrating mist that's going to mesh your makeup together. So let me take this off real quick. I had to do a high pony today because I'm going to my baby brother's graduation in a few hours, so you already know. I'm also wearing the LYCHEE lipstick from the Anastasia Beverly Hills summer collection. I like these lipsticks because they're metallic, so at a distance they look glossy and shiny, but up close it's like, ooh, it's actually matte. This is the final look. You know it's cute. It's cute. Anyway, thank you guys so much for requesting this tutorial. I hope that you learned something from it. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up or like this video and share with your homies, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, text messages, iMessages, email. Copy that link and share it. You know, share the love. It's free 99 and you know you can help your girl out. You know, gotta pay bills, etc. Anyway, Don't forget to watch the next video if there is one up, and I will see y'all next time. Peace.